We're shaking, folks. Back with another reaction, back with some more Ultravox. And we're going back to Rage in Eden, 1981. Once again, big shout out to Phil for sharing their catalog. And the next tune is Accent on Youth. It's an interesting phrase, certainly not one I've heard in that form before. An accent, something that stands out from the standard or default, if you will. People will immediately think of linguistic accents, which, dialects that vary from what might be considered the standard for a larger region or linguistic culture. Ultimately, it makes me think of acid music, where some of the flares and the particular barks or bites of an acid line, those are often called accents because they're different from just the main line, whether it's a bass line or a lead. So yeah, I do wonder in what way the accent is applied when we're talking about youth, and an accent on youth. Prepositions can sort of give you different perspective. Accent for youth, accent of youth, accent on youth. All suggest slightly different things. So an accent on youth, like perhaps focusing on youth or emphasizing youth in relation to older generations. It is an interesting phrase, but I'm really not sure what to make of it. So let's find out. This is Ultravox. The track is Accent on Youth, and it's from the 1981 album Rage in Eden. Something simple. Okay. That bend. There's so many interesting phrases I'm hearing, but again, it's a very intense chorus. That's it. So it goes right into the next one? Alright. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to download the next track. Unless that's like a glitch. I remember there was one other file. This was like a year ago. But there was some file that like, it just hadn't like ripped correctly. It had ripped incompletely. And so I was sort of confused when it ended that way. And I remember Philip was a bit confused, and then he went back and he checked. He's like, oh yeah, there was like a glitch with the tune. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm gonna check to see if it is like bridge with the next track. If that's the case, I'm gonna smash this together with another reaction for the next track. So I am indeed gonna do the second Ultravox reaction because I checked online, and sure enough, the Ascent on Youth track ends that way, and it leads right into the next tune, which is called the Ascent. So we are back to do that, and a pox upon me for even implying in the slightest that one of Philip's files was denigrated, corrupted, or corroded in any way, which it clearly wasn't. In any case, the Ascent, it makes me think of a Brian Eno tune called, I think it's The Ascent, or at least Ascent, or maybe An Ascent. It's this very uplifting and transgressive sort of, not transgressive, that's the wrong word, transcendent, that's correct. Transgressive are things that are like so shocking and pushing way beyond accepted boundaries of form or style. Regardless, it's a very ascending piece, which feels like the notion of a spirit departing the physical world and so on. So when I see this title, I do think of that, but knowing that the beginning of this tune is, at least in the opening, going to have a trance-like drive to it, it feels like the sonic atmosphere is likely to be different. Ultimately, it could be an Ascent, unrelated to that type of, dualistic understanding. It could be about, a spaceship or a rocket ascending into space, which, in the 80s and obviously in the context of the Cold War and, ICBMs and so on, there could be darker connotations to the term, but ultimately, yeah, I'm not quite sure what to expect, other than to say it likely won't be sonically similar to Brian Eno's tune of similar or same name. In any case, this is Ultravox. The track is The Ascent, and it's another tune from their 1981 album Rage in Eden. This in a techno set alongside tunes from the mid-90s. That organ is a bit like Gothic, like cathedral definitely be in a movie. No idea what's happening. Insane. Really atmospheric tune, which again had drive and, you know, dance floor power, not unlike a more minimal techno track, although maybe tech trance would be the best comparison for my, you know, 90s raver brain. But yeah, for tune from 81, it sounds remarkably like forward looking electronically. It also went through a couple phases. The opening part was again very driven and energetic, and then that sort of atmospheric pad came in, and that seemed to change the vibe a little bit. And eventually, it was like this again gothic cathedral organ type of sound. And even when it sort of switched into that last part, it still felt like that heavy, you know, old building type of feel, but within the context of a very electronic sound. So it was a very multifaceted track. Really enjoyed it. Obviously, an instrumental, because I didn't comment on the sonics of the first track, Accent on Youth. I will say I like that a lot. Again, as I mentioned during the track, the chorus very intense. The synths very striking, and the chorus very like big and dramatic. I did like the contrast between that and other parts of the tune. I caught lots of really interesting phrases, and you know, even like not direct phrases, but you know, the idea of like, we'll give him enough rope to hang himself. There was a reference of like, well, he's gonna give me just enough rope to do exactly that, and there were phrases that were drawn from, you know, pop culture and literature and so on, as well as seemingly like sideways references to other, but I don't know how it all tied together. And I like, we heard the title phrase in the chorus, Accent on Youth, as well as Attention something else, but I couldn't piece it all together, even though I heard a fair amount of words. So be curious to hear what people have to say about that one. But yeah, a cool tune, and was not expecting to do a double like this, but obviously, you know, they're definitely meant to be heard in conjunction. So apologies I didn't have them both queued up, but hopefully, you know, this isn't too bad of a follow-up or secondary option. Whatever. The point is, I'm enjoying their sound, and I know people have mentioned that they were one of the groups that were seen as being very innovative electronically at the beginning of the 80s. You know, for being 81, as I said, you know, this is a tune that persuades me in that regard. So, looking forward to more. Once again, shout out to Philip for sharing this. Shout out to Han Solo for putting me onto Ultravox in the first place. Do let me know what you think of the tune. I will see you next time. Peace.